You guys got new lights themselves, or
New lights. And fix some errors and stuff.
right on? You got lucky. You're like, they've been broken for like years, kind of, and then you showed up and they're like, let's fix something here.
Yeah. New staffing. Anyways.
That's cool. That's nice. It's like good to hear, you know.
Yeah, by the way.
So I mean, for like lights on, this is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess we need the main other one is the speaker lights, like on the reader. Yeah. So when we have the speaker light, having one slightly on here is also good.
Yeah. Let's try with the book cover.
Okay. I'll shift tab back over, or you can go for it. Yeah, that hook. Test. That sounds good. Sounds good. Cover looks good. The cover is up.
How much audience light do you want?
Pretty minimal.
So it's okay to be like dim.
For sure, we can dim it. Let's dim it for sure. Okay. That way. They don't happen to have rave lights on there, do they? Is there a DJ setting? No? Okay. Had to ask.
This is where the books are. Do you want me to just turn off?
Yeah, I think so.
Or
Yeah, it's almost.
like this?
Is there like a minimal setting for the side, or like?
This much?
One more up, just like a tiny. Yeah, that's perfect. Let's do that. That seems all right. Yeah, I think this is like right in here is good. Yeah, they can if they need to get up, they won't trip. Sorry. Yeah. That's all right up there. Can we maybe like take this main light down just a tiny bit? I don't know. Just checking like.
Just right on the right.
I think so. That's pretty good. Hold on a second, I just want to look. I think that's working. That should be good. Yeah. Not too bright. Yeah. This is like, that's a good, and you can see the thing for sure. Yes, audience, screen, and stage look good like this for a reading setting. Yeah.
Can you stay at the 5 for a second? I
For-
need to try to get the face.
For sure.
Brighter.
Do you ever do lighting for other events? Or tech work for like other events?
Like other places or?
Yeah, like, I don't know, concerts or anything like that?
Not at the moment. No.
Gotcha.
Just a few times in different places.
I host a lot of music events. Had the same sound person for like 5 years, but she's just been in bad health lately. I need to find like one more tech person. Let's see here.
Okay. Let's turn off.
Right on.
about the reading skill? Yes, you can buy me a glass of red wine.
Okay, good. I was wondering if you drank anything other than rosé.
I was just gonna say the space is right here. So
Okay.
if we have to leave, we can sneak out.
Sounds good.
Yeah, crashing. Oh, no, there's anything I can do about it.
Any of the new books look interesting?
Yeah. Just gonna buy a couple books. Yes.
Fine for you? It's fine for you. There's, you know, just less. It's not small, but.
Yes. Okay.
We're right on the step. Did that share brand new with the chairs? Most of them, some of them are still actually. Okay. That's Natalie Davies. Good old just family. Proceeding, recently.
This is a long time ago. She needs to. Well, you're gonna hear this. Well, it's built for sound.
Well, just because you're not usually in that long.
You don't have to.
You should. Yeah, that's right, yeah.
That's what I thought. And I've seen him say those names before.
I can't remember. She wasn't. Cause I know, I feel like I know your office ones, and I knew she was like around there still, or
That's actually, that's actually.
yeah, maybe.
Well, no, she was calling me by that.
But the passion play was around.
Yeah.
to keep proving this to the internet.
It's how they use the coloring of it. I bet
And shapes, like, certain shapes are straight in certain paintings, and other ones are not. And there's a choice on which shapes are straight, realistic, and which ones are not. And it's the artist or the person who knows how to do it, and who does it.
I know.
Convey some sort of feeling or something like this.
Standing in front of another person, someone that doesn't do it justice. The colors are so. I started knowing this portrait. I've seen it a million times in it's by itself and in the university, it's by itself. I stood like I stood and it's not big people.
Yeah, yeah. But it's part of the impression of the painting. Not only is it impressionist, but
artist that was too.
yeah. But I mean, people just it's just this is not what art is. Yeah.
There's a reason why he did it, and there's
There's so much emotion in those paintings. Like, you can't look at those paintings and not feel something. Like, there's communications on those paintings, even when you're not.
and he takes the place and he researches that it's a case of what I was told.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it
It's hard
has
to
to
do it
still
for a reason, correct? It's hard to do it and communicate something.
and he was the school art cultures that had not been.
Yeah.
We're talking about Western civilization.
Mm.
He was the and he was really yeah, he was he was
The shape.
and stuff in and he was also like those guys like he was seeing in Paris. Those guys see Stein's house. Like if you read her it's yes. And I read the whole books and then it seems like they're like great and modern and great. Something to it and feel it. Yes. You can't replicate it. Anyways, they influenced each other. Not good.
Which is like some like
Writers in there was hair.
No, like if you read The Sunlight. It's sort of the fictionalization of that little Paris cafe Lost Boys vibe. It's amazing. It's really good. You should look that up.
Oh, wow, thanks. To be honest, that's what they're all for. Some of them are rude, most of them are rude.
No, my son also is a group that affects people after the end of the war. And he got to do some of the laws. So we are running here. And there's 8 Catholics.
so many familiar faces here, I feel like I almost don't need to introduce myself, but better safe than sorry for the live stream. I'm Kevin Williams, I'm the publisher at Talonbooks, and I'd like to welcome you all. And I'm going to give a few thanks and shout outs here before I introduce our host for the night. So, starting off with our fabulous authors and our amazing staff, our wonderful freelance editors, designers, our funders, Canada Council, Government of British Columbia, BC Arts Council, Heritage, and Creative BC, our distributor, University of Toronto Press, our US distributor, Consortium Book Sales and Distribution, our reps, Ampersand Inc., and obviously all the media, and many, many other people who support Project Talon, all the readers, so many people who correspond with us. I realize it's a big network, and I thank every single one of you and them. So, and tonight we have the wonderful Dina Del Bucchia to be our host. She is the author of 3 Talon books. Coping with Otters comes to mind, rom-com, it's a big deal. She also did a book, Don't Tell Me What to Do with Arsenal Pulp, which is a really nice book of short stories. She's edited all kinds of stuff. She sets up all kinds of readings. And not only that, she has another Talon book coming in 2024.
Nailed it.
Fall?
Spring.
Spring 2024.
Fire.
There you go. So, without further ado, our host for the night, Dina Del Bucchia.
I know I'm not supposed to go up that way. I know I'm not supposed to go up that way, but I did it. Anyway, for fun. Hi. How's everyone? Are you like, I love poetry month? Woo, it's the best month of the year. Is that what you're thinking right now?
Yes.
Thank God. Because otherwise, I would cancel this event and we would have to leave. It's really great to be here because my first book overall came out 10 years ago with Talon, Coping with Emotions and Otters, April 2013. And I actually just got this otter drinking wine tattoo to commemorate the occasion. So if anyone would like to hang out with Gina, that's her name, she is available for events. On my other arm, I got a tattoo of a mammoth reading a poetry book. So you know I'm really serious about poetry, okay? I'm not a poser, I'm not lying, I'm not faking it. And even though Daniel isn't here with me, I'm still allowed to be a poet. I feel like everyone's always like, where's Daniel? And I'm like, well, I'll tell you. He lives in Los Angeles and he married a rich person. And you know what, I love that for him because then I get to go there. So yes, I'm Dina Del Bucchia. I will be your host for the evening. I'm very excited to be here. I do want to acknowledge that we are on the unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. I also want to say that today there were a lot of unspeakable acts committed by the Vancouver Police Department on unhoused people in areas where many Indigenous people live. And I hope we can. Yeah. Garbage. Oh my God, that's so terrible. I hate it. But I genuinely do hate it. And I think we can all commit to hopefully doing our work to help those in that neighborhood. And also, like, just don't vote for dickheads. Like, that's literally the least we could do. No, dickheads in office. I don't care for it, and I want to see it. But moving on. We don't just have poetry tonight. We have fiction. We have drama. We have butts. Just kidding, that was a little addition by me. We also do have poetry though. So anyway, you're probably tired of this. You're like, get to the real deal. So I'm gonna start introducing our amazing readers. So, the first person you are going to get to experience this evening is an award-winning playwright and actor, Lucia Fragioni, whose work has been called bold and courageous, and is also one of our most consistently interesting playwrights. This is such a great quote. Intellectually and theologically sophisticated with a strong dose of eroticism, and a nice sense of humor, and honestly, what a perfect pairing of things to be said about you. Her work has been performed on stages and screens all over the dang place, as she has herself. And with her novel, Grazie, she is giving us a great and spiritual story of transformation, forgiveness, and accountability, for which I think we can all say, grazie. Please welcome Lucia.
Thank you, it's an honor to be here. Grazie is told through 4 different voices. Graziana, who is the first person I'll read from, and her daughter Hazel, Hazel's grandpa, Herman, who she calls Grumpy. And then the 4th voice is Ivan, the biological father who has died and is now with the beloved. Here is Grazie. He drove up in his blue truck, wearing his blue plaid shirt, his wavy hair perfect. How can his pants not even crease when he's been driving for 4 hours? His tone was even, but she could tell this was an effort. I'm sorry you seem angry, Herman, but I'm not mentally well. Oh, I'm not angry. Never mind me, I'm fine. What I don't understand is why you can't even speak to your own child. She's only 7 years old. I don't care what kind of nervous breakdown you've had. Folks these days have a name for everything. I'll tell you what it is. Selfish and irresponsible and downright cruel to a child. A child! What kind of lasting damage do you think that kind of neglect does to a little girl? And now I find you're not even at the Peter Lougheed psych, but out here on holiday at a lovely B&B. Crumple, crumple. Stay awake, stay awake. She tapped her hands on her thighs in a rhythm. Tap, 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 tap. Herman snapped. What in tarnation are you doing? I'm talking to you. You what? You're just being dramatic to make yourself look crazy. Tap, 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 tap. He looked away, annoyed. Shook his head, crossed his arms. Tap, 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 tap. I tap to stay in my body. It helps me not black out. Okay, okay. It's a technique. Tap, tap, tap. He watched out of the corner of his eye, resigned. Listen, we don't have to talk about all that just yet. I'm not here to have you flipping out on me again. He watched her tap. He looked away. Nice house they have here. Tap, tap, tap. Graziana, I don't want to set you off or anything, but maybe you could just tell me whatever you can. She took a deep breath. Ivan Vidal is Hazel's dad. Herman set all of his crockery down. After a moment, he said quietly, well, the way you reacted to the picture got me wondering. Now I look at her. Hazel does resemble the guy, but I never put it together before because, well, how on earth did you end up with a creep after all these years later? Why? What possessed you? She straightened out her spoon and fork in a perfect line by her plate. Herman sat back. You don't have to tell me. She smoothed out her napkin and she put her hand back on her thighs. Well, Herman, he showed up at the bike store. It's a long story, but the short of it is Hazel is the product of rape. Herman's eyes got wider than they'd probably ever been since birth. He pushed back from his chair and stood up. He went down the stairs and headed out the door and down the hard scrabble road. It felt good to tell him the truth, like a well-made bed. She stood up from the kitchen table and wandered over to the window to watch Herman. He was talking out loud. He stared out at the horizon. He put his hands on his hips like a winded runner. She vacated the window and set to boiling more water and cleaning up the dishes. Up the stairs he came and sat down in his chair. He looked as though he was about to say something very official or maybe cough, but he remained mute, his eyes reddened. At the loss of knowing what to do, she simply said, sorry. He shook his head and stretched out his hands towards the table, sorry, in a gesture of group prayer. She cautiously extended her hands, and he enveloped them in his large paws, his griddle pan thumbs crossed protectively over the top. It seemed so strange to be this close with somebody she had lived with nearly all her life. She wept while he stayed stoic, and they kept holding hands quietly, beyond the point of being embarrassed, a teacup shoved slightly to the left at an angle that might suggest it would topple, but never did. Herman. Hazel was quiet as a mouse. She had run away. I didn't tell you that. She ran away. I asked her if she was going to apologize. She said nothing, but I didn't press the point because I was so angry. I was afraid of what I might say if I did start talking, so I just turned up the radio. She didn't even complain about my choice of station, and I know how much she hates country. But let me tell you, all I want to do right now is throw my golf clubs in the back of the car and take off to BC and find myself a lakeside cottage and a cold beer. That evening, though, at supper, about halfway through, I noticed Hazel was chewing with her mouth closed. She also remembered to put her napkin on her lap. And then, let me tell you, I nearly fell over. She cleared her plate and mine without having to be asked and set them in the dishwasher. I asked her to sit down at the table, and she did. She looked frightened. And I realized I'd never seen her frightened before, not of me anyway. And this softened me. Hazel, you look scared. Because you're angry with me. Yes, I am. Why do you think? Because I peed on H&M jackets and you had to pay for them? I'll get a job and I will pay you back, Herman. You're calling me Herman now? Well, you're not my real grandpa. Well, this feels pretty real to me. I shouldn't expect you to be my grandpa when you're just Herman, and you shouldn't have to take care of me if you don't want to. Who says I don't want to? I can tell. Well, it isn't easy. You haven't made it easy on me, Hazel. At this point, the little pup hung her head, and I felt bad for saying it. But it doesn't mean I don't want to take care of you. Sometimes the hardest things are the best things for you, like math class, or eating your vegetables, or reading a difficult book. Taking care of a child is not an easy thing, especially if you're an old fart like me in your late 60s and don't know what the hell you're doing half the time. I made her snort when I said fart. And yes, I'm angry and frustrated, Hazel, but mostly I'm scared. Why are you scared? Well, honey, I'm scared I might be doing this wrong. Doing what wrong? Taking care of you? Grumpy, you are the best taker care there is. It's me, I'm stupid and horrible. No wonder Mom left. Little pup, you are not stupid and you are not horrible. You are clever. Nobody is like you. So many people wish they were unique, and you can't help yourself. You're so creative, Hazel, and I think you're pretty strong on the inside and the outside. You will find your way, you will. Your mom left. She did, I won't pretend she didn't. I don't want to talk about it. Well, that makes two of us. But it wasn't your fault. And yes, you did use your smarts to do a bad thing. I know you're upset that I lied to you about your mom, and I'm sorry. I just didn't know how to tell you the truth. If you want to call me Herman, well, I'm not going to stop you. If you don't think I'm your grandpa, that's your decision. But I'll tell you this much, Hazel, you are my grandchild. And you always will be. And you are the one of the best things that's ever happened to me. I don't think I actually realized all this until I said it out loud, but I rather surprised myself at how emotional this made me. I guess I was also tired. It'd been a stressful day. But after I said those words, Hazel decided to forgive me. She came over to the back of my chair, wrapped her arms around my neck and stood there and cried, kind of hugging the chair and me at the same time. And then as a joke, I guess, to break the ice, I started singing an old Hank Williams we heard in the car in a country twang that Hazel hates, and it made her laugh. Did you ever see a robin weep when leaves began to die? Like me, he's lost the will to live. I'm so lonesome I could cry. The silence of a falling star lights up the perfect sky. And as I wonder where you are, I'm so lonesome I could cry. Ivan with the beloved. So, This time I've spent with you, the animals, the stars, the sand, the hurricane, the bottom of the sea, is this a vision? Or has this been real? Has this all been a reincarnation judgment day thing, or has it just been my life flashing before me as my psyche dies? Would it matter one way or the other? I suppose not. Is there anything more real than the transformation of a soul? Now you answer me with questions, you know that's annoying. If we gave you all the answers, that would also be annoying. You know, I like it that you're not a man or a woman. Both are complicated for me. I like it that you're you. Around you I feel clean, like soap and sunshine, clean water. The way a baby will stare at its own hand in wonder, you know, a hot blue sky. Yes, and a smooth stone and song, a sprouted seed, the love between. You know what I really miss about being a human? That feeling of having just brushed my teeth, or stepping onto a dock by the lake, the warm wood under my bare feet. Oh, a good sneeze. The satisfaction of shuffling a deck of cards. The complicated taste of black licorice. Shifting a car into sixth gear. The crack of a ball against a baseball bat. Starting a campfire with a single match. My granny Camilla, the way her lipstick threads up through wrinkles when she laughs. The efficiency of a 10-minute nap. Singing, even though I'm not a singer. Watching LeBron James do a two-handed dunk. Christmas lights. Times, dates, to-do lists. The smell of waffles. Holding a baby duck. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was incredible. So I'm a real sucker for a baby duck. That's gonna be my next tattoo. I'm not even joking. Oh. Okay. Our next reader is a literary icon. Maybe that should be my next tattoo. A picture of our next reader. Maybe we should all commit to that. We'll see. Daphne Marla. Daphne has been doing groundbreaking and innovative work for her entire career and has inspired generations of poets and writers. She's committed to exploring the varied and rich local history of the Lower Mainland, and it seems she can write anything, but she proves yet again with her new work, Shadowcatch, a chamber music libretto. In a review of her book Liquidities, Tanis MacDonald writes, Marla captures the strange shifting urgencies of Vancouver, noting all the while that which has not changed and remains stubbornly and importantly central to the city. Its First Nations and Asian citizens, its forests and rivers, its heights and depths, its harbors of industry, and their attendant disasters. Please, please welcome Daphne.
Thank you, Dina. I want to offer my thanks, first of all. Deep gratitude to Kevin, Vicky, Spencer, and everyone at Talonbooks for publishing my work through all these years, and now for bringing out Shadowcatch, a first libretto for the press. In particular, heartfelt thanks to Katrina for her editing expertise and the many extra steps she took to ensure all this book's supporting historical material. Also, my delighted thanks to Les for the striking cover he's designed. Shadowcatch is a Vancouver chamber opera inspired by one form of the lyrical tradition of Japanese no theater. Profound gratitude goes to its four composers, Dorothy Chang, Benton Roark, Jennifer Butler, and Farshid Samandari. Each score is wonderfully appropriate for the act each composer chose. And you'll just see the first page of each score in the book. I want to especially mention Benton, who in 2010 initiated this project together with Colleen Lanke, director for the whole project and for its initial production at Fire Hall Theatre. My gratitude also goes to Nancy Hermiston of UBC Opera, who saw that first production and decided to remount Shadowcatch at UBC in March of last year in a more westernized version. Sadly, Colleen Lanke died earlier this year. I offer this brief reading in memory of her terrific energy, her talent, and her many years of dedication to bringing no theatre to Vancouver audiences. And in fact, I saw one of her productions right here in this school many years ago. Not that many years ago. As this may well be my last book, I'm delighted to go out on a no-inspired work that delves into the history of this city's first park, Oppenheimer Park in the downtown east side. Each act features a spirit from a different part of its neighborhood history, a spirit who visits a runaway boy trying to sleep overnight in the park. Most people no longer remember Oppenheimer was once a thriving forest, or that in the last century, it was the heart of what was known as Nihonmachi, or Japantown. Powell Street Grounds, as it was then called, or by local citizens, Paolo Grande, was the well-loved Asahi Ball team's home ground. So let me read from Act 2, featuring the spirit of the runaway boy. Well, he's not the main character in this act. He lasts through all 4 acts. He's the only character who does. But the main character in this particular act is an Asahi Ball team member. In production, some of these lines that I'm going to say, and actually I'm going to start with a brief prose section. Some of the lines would be chanted by the G or the chorus, alternating with the shite or main actor. Here, the Asahi player. One line from what I'm about to read, well, a couple of lines are uttered by the runaway boy, the Waki. So, imagine, Oppenheimer Park, nighttime, this young runaway spending his first night in the city, trying to sleep in the park. Somebody who looks like an elderly cleaner comes along, picking up things with the kind of stick you use for picking up trash on the ground, and accidentally stabs the boy's pack, or seems to accidentally. Look, I find a place to sleep, then you come along and stab my pack. Why don't you work by daylight when it's easier to see what belongs to people? What belongs, you say, and to whom? We thought Paolo Grande was ours. We thought our houses, the Buddhist temple, our school, our shops, the noodle and tofu makers, this baseball diamond, all that we worked so hard to make was ours. Then Pearl Harbor happened, and overnight we learned none of it was. Wait a minute. Pearl Harbor was last century, World War II or something. You can't be that old. So now the cleaner starts to transform slowly into the ball player, young ball player. We are the young new ones on the team. We are salmon leaping for the cup. We are shooting stars in the last game played right here. Come on, you played ball here in this one-block park? You don't know much. I know what I've run from. That's never enough. Home ground for the Asahi. 1, 2, 3, most popular ball team in the city. Before the war, before the before the war broke up the team and turned in scattered camps inland, some here, some there. We never stopped playing. We trained new young ones, but the news forgot us, wrote us off as if we were dead. That's too bad, but it happened long ago. Why are you telling me now? This field is where it happens, over and over. Benches packed, bases loaded. Out in left field, cheering spectators part for Frank's brilliant catch. 5-footers all, we leap, we catch, and when we're up, we bunt, Harry's suicide squeeze. We win again against long-legged, big-hitter teams. They don't run so fast. And our fans clap. Hakajin too, all recognize true, Yamato Damashi true, excelling for love of the game. Team caps, team uniforms, white shine, naphtha scrubbed by ardent sisters, new peer, cafe jokes, and rivalries for girls eager to dance to grace, Belcara picnics on a star player's arm, twilight closing in. We worked days for our dads when not in school. We hauled miso tubs, 100-pound sacks of rice, unloaded truckloads of cans before and after practice. We lived for the game. So long ago, we lived inside that glory. Local stars we were, shooting through the unseen dark, fear clouds massing out beyond the field where we played ball, bright ball. Night's dark, the boy thinks, outside his bright top, maybe inside it too. Here's something I've learned. To move on, you have to leave some things behind. You're young. You don't know some things don't get left behind. Our caps, our uniforms we packed with us to the camps. Even my leap in the last game, I took it with me. Twilight closing in, end of the season, end of life's game against all odds. Our star ascent, the ball at its peak, falling. Thanks.
That was incredible. Thank you so much, Stephanie. And I said that I wouldn't get a tattoo of her face. She made me promise. Pinky swear. I didn't promise. So I won't. I'll be a good girl. It's one time. So we have one other reader before we are going to take a little intermish. A couple weeks ago, I was teaching a class and I came into the classroom on time, but the other instructor was there and said, "Oh, I'm gonna leave and just give me a few moments." And I said, "Yeah, no press." And he was very upset that I said that. He was really mad and he kept saying, "What's no press? What's that?" And I was like, "I don't know, do you not listen to the youths that you teach?" Anyway, it was cool and he hates me. I'm really fun. Okay, let me get my papers in order again. Sorry, I had to tell you that story. Or am I? Hard to say. Okay, we're also closing out with another literary force, which is very exciting. So yeah, after this, you can collect yourselves and take a little break. So another literary force is here to launch her book tonight, Sharon Thiessen. Writer, editor, critic. She has edited multiple things, like so many things that I, of course, didn't list them all because that's what Google's for. But 2 editions of the new long poem anthology, which I personally think is very exciting, along with the Governor General's award-winning Selected Poems of Phyllis Webb, The Vision Tree. She's been involved with multiple literary journals and has taught many young writers. I just think anyone who's teaching young writers as someone who just did it literally and ran over here immediately after, huge kudos to you. No, they're the best, like, they're so precious. In a review of a previous collection, this quote, Thiessen writes beautifully and humorously of life on our planet, and I agree, and I honestly wish we would all sometimes write a little more beautifully and a little more humorously. So, strap in for Sharon.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming out. And I'm very happy to have this wonderful collection. I say wonderful because it still astonishes me that it's here at all. It's a selection of my longer poems from over 40 years of publishing. And the idea to do this, amazing, and again I say amazing because I can still hardly believe that I'm holding this book, is I have to thank Erin Moray, whose idea this book was, who was so encouraging as we put it together. Refabulations contains work from over 40 years of writing, but not in chronological order. Erin saw it through from start to finish. Erin in Montreal, I'm in Kelowna, Katrina is in Vancouver. And I have to thank Katrina for her editing conscientiously the book. And thank you, Erin, for your work on this and for your beautiful introduction. And thanks to Talon as well for publishing it. The late Diane DePrima said, a lot of people look back at their early work and say, oh, please, let's just throw those in the fire. But you have to be the advocate and friend of the person you were. That person you were is in a lot of ways a lot braver than you are now because you had a lot more to overcome. A poet by the name of Billy Chernikoff I'm in contact with says that each book of poems is a book of the dead with its own peculiar rites of rebirth. So I'll read, interspersed throughout the longer sequences and series are a number of individual poems, and I'll read one of them from 1995, Biography of a Woman. She was so intelligent, she could see wind and hear the coughing of flies. In the basement, she worried about things that hadn't happened yet, but could. Her suitors were swans or had an arm missing. She lost their engagement rings, their car keys, was beaten, shunned, kidnapped. She woke in a deep well, fled, and was captured, forced to sort through 10 tons of millet, pearl rice, popcorn seeds all night by haughty types who tortured her with impunity, jealous of her hair, her goodness that led to betrothal and them snarky and evil behind the curtain as she stepped into the golden crystal carriage. But then she lost the keys, or spilled the wax, or dropped the stitch, or found a dwarf, was dropped off in the woods at night and forced to sew starlight into shirts enough for an army, had her hands chopped off, her feet removed, was mistaken for a broom and left in a corner she had to clean up after devils and soldiers. She was so intelligent, she was the chosen bride of the king's son because she was so beautifully starved that apples flung themselves off apple trees into her grown back hands at midnight. And for some reason, maybe because of what Daphne read, I want to read the very first poem in this book. after Roy Cayuca's funeral. I take a kitchen chair out to the front porch and stand on it to reach the light. Encased in amber bubbled glass, which has to be unscrewed in 3 small places. The screws are brass, stiff, unused to suffering. Then the 40-watt bulb comes out and in goes a 100-watt bulb. The amber casing back on with its old, cheap bracing screws. Now my visitors. Now the path is lit farther out and the way in brighter, bigger. I used to get jokes about that poem. How many poems does it take to change a life? Okay, I'm going to read 2 shortish little sequences I can find here. This one is called From Toledo, and it was never published in a book. It was published only as a chapbook by Barry McKinnon's Gorse Press up in Prince George. From the 12th to the 15th centuries, versions of El Cant de la Sibila, the Song of the Sibyl, were performed in cathedrals throughout the Iberian Peninsula at Christmas matins, most often by a boy dressed in a tunic, oversleeves and gloves, and sometimes wearing a wig and a, quote, hairy tail which gave him the appearance of a mermaid, unquote. The Sibyl was often the last in a procession of the prophets, bearing witness to the day of judgment. An autumn flower arrangement arrives, light rain pestering the garden, falling into brown decay until spring, that far-off moment. The song of the Sibyl blew into the cavernous cathedral as I opened the door to a woman delivering flowers. I had just unrolled a mauve shag rug downstairs, loops of wool I could slip a finger through, wed myself to a carpet groom, and me a cloth person clad in sweaters and fleece feet submerged in fluff. The Sibyl laments the day of judgment, the splitting and rending of the earth like a piece of old blue cloth in the hands of wrath, puffs of dust rising from the rip lines. From Toledo, the Spanish town in whose cathedral the Sibyl sang, I have a pair of golden scissors inlaid with the scrolling pattern. The cathedral, one of many we saw that year, that decade, the decade of the pewter goblet received for years of service at work and stored in a cupboard in its lizardy protective case. The Sibyl's song takes me to poetry, that coughing sister, the one in bed using up her sick days. A soft old cloth folded and warmed in the oven is pressed to her Vic's slick chest, a benediction. Imperial trumpets announce another verse. We steel ourselves for more bad news. The pewter goblet, for years of service at the blackboard, diagrams the soul's journey, so to speak, with spirals and connotations. I defend the meaning of texts and would like to say that all interpretations are a matter of possibilities endlessly recycled within the one possibility. The flower arrangement is set on the table, dark reds, deep yellows. Another refrain cites the end of the world, the terrors of Judgment Day, the splitting and rending, the wishing one were dead, and finishes with the sound of a bell and more trumpets touting their own representation of pagan intrusions, pagan self-esteem. We can't be two walking on eggshells when it comes to the Sibyl, a boy in sleeves and gloves. He emerges, sings, leaves the scene or is absorbed in the many voices of the people. Her, his mantilla, cloak, jewels, gown, the cloth at the waist are a folded dimension as slant her sightlines. Many amen signal her departure from this Christmas night and the arrival of the next prophet. We've been waiting a long time. Now the newer music, the variations, the furrowed interpretations. Now the standing up once more, the trouble of coats and boots, someone coughing, the tired choir, the awaited moment, its shine. I'll leave it there.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Okay, we're gonna take a little break. Kevin, how long do we have this break for? 15 minutes, the man is saying. So please take a break. From me, personally. Just kidding, you can talk to me if you want to. Okay, everyone, we'll be back here in 15. It's happening. Should I be getting a tattoo of your face? Come here. Oh, you still got the best husband.
off and send it to your driveway. But I wasn't sure about the truck. Because you know what, the one piece is that you didn't discuss. So maybe there are two things to change. So ask Carol to do that. But cut it down. So your driver needs to be less than that. But don't get on your head. Go like 1200 for a year. Okay? This summer, but that's important. Try to make those changes, okay? Make your best guess, yes. Don't stress about it, don't think it. When I send you your draft, and I'll take a look at it. So I will let this take a look. But I'm gonna say that. So, yeah, it's easy. So you just send it when you got it, you can send it soon. Oh, you can just keep on. Yeah, so you just put your mouse there. Put your mouse in. Window at the top. Same thing. There wasn't there. Just keep it at the top. So it's easier. Yeah, you probably erase what was there. So, he's supposed to have it rewrite it.
Now, before we start the second act, someone from the first act would like to come up and join us. For a brief moment, Lucia, please come. Please come to this microphone.
I didn't know I could also talk. It's my first reading. This is my first novel, and I just wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank Talonbooks for publishing it and taking a chance on me with my first novel, and to Kara, Charles, Katrina, and my friend, dear God, help me, Karen for doing the editorial work on it. Thank you. Oh, my husband. Now I'll get laid tonight. Oh my God, I also want to get laid. Thank you to Lucia's husband. I just want to thank you. No. Sorry. It's the second half, so we're gonna go blue. Thank you all for still being here. This is so lovely. I was just talking to Cecily about how just beautiful the first half was. Wonderful. And yeah, and then I get to like sit beside Cecily Nicholson, who's a superstar. Like, just what a great evening. No complaints. Let's get going. Oh, these are the old papers. Ugh. Get rid of them. Wait, I'm already forgetting. Okay. Sorry, I didn't get the order ahead of time, so I need prompting, because I keep forgetting. So next, we met this evening, and the first thing he said to me was, "Oh, you don't have any embarrassing stories to share about me?" And I said, "Not yet." I said, you're not gonna get the roasting that everyone else that I know personally will be receiving. So I hope he's okay with that.
We'll see.
Writer and photographer Ray Kolava? You told me it correctly and I said it wrong.
You did.
Say it again.
It's Koleve.
Koleve. His books include The Absence of Zero, Inspecting Nostalgia, and After Letters. His new collection is here. A beautiful stream of consciousness, broken long poem. Have you ever heard more beautiful words? That's what I love to hear. Oh my God, I'm saying everything wrong. A new momentary sapphire, of which Lisa Robertson says, it's a painfully alive book that entangles the reader over and over again. Get ready to be tangled. I said we were gonna get blue. This is the BDSM portion of the evening. Please, Ralph, please come up here and save me from myself.
After that, I don't know what to say. This is actually, I'm sorry, there's no bondage in this book. I mean, we can talk about that later if you like, but Tina, see what happens. But no bondage. It's just a lot of words and a lot of people to say thank you to. Some of whom are in this room. Everyone at Talon, Kevin and Katrina, and everyone else who worked on this book. Les Smith's amazing cover and internal design. I was saying to him earlier, of all my books, I think this is the most beautiful of them. Never on the content, just the design and all that. It's kind of 3 long poems. So we're on a long poem night tonight after Sharon's amazing reading. And her work has certainly been very important to me. So, although this is very different than anything she's done. Hers is much better. So yeah, there are three long poems in here. The first one is actually sort of a Lent poem, and it's almost the end of Lent for those who practice, which I don't. So we'll avoid that poem. Then the second part is this middle of the book. It's 120 sections, and it takes about an hour and a bit to read. So, did everyone get a drink before? We won't do that either. I'm going to read from the third part, and what I've done in the past with readings like this, where things just go on and on and on, is to set a timer and just stop when the timer goes off. I won't do that. I'll just read, and I think I know where to stop. I won't read the whole thing again. It's in 40 parts, and I'm not going to take breaks in between the parts. If anybody's curious, the parts are all 9 lines long, 3 tercets each, and that tercet thing is important to the book. So this microphone gets in the way of seeing. How about that? No, that doesn't work. This. Okay, so the third part is called Beginning Again and Again is a Natural Thing Even When There is a Series, which is from Gertrude Stein. Or the wind, crowded with voice, a matter of taking dictation, translating the only one who knows that language and recalls sublime moments thought swerved at the edge of. All the seas below and rushing. No hierarchy of oceans. A brief glimpse past the door, closing behind someone leaving, waking up from another library dream, the same book on every shelf, this new life, La Vita Nuova, new poems, something like that. Dark oak clouds blowing through the strange, empty, crowded room, lost in their overcoats at every table, muttering to themselves. Warm, gray wool. Piles and stacks and scraps, broken clay pots, describing things that happened or could have. A sudden gust of wind, paper, blue sky and geometry, mountain or flat land, industrial park, a red scarf. This new life confessional or abstract, deep or shallow, unrhymed, beginning or end as if unscattered and whole when broken. There's no repair. Words catch and snag and shatter. The silence after neither redemption nor respite. To want to pour jewels out on the sidewalk, but who will see them? Death will see them, knowing the words without reading being the words I can't recite. A prescribed litany, names of angels or hours in definite order, implicate order, each touching the other, infinitely far from the other. No longer traveling. At home, both the east wall and the west have windows covered by tangled vines. Beyond one, a silver mountain. Beyond the other, a towering iron cliff. At sunrise in slant light, recalling shallow sleep on fast trains in the past, I sit, seeing them both, the empty room, awaiting half a phrase. But whose words, anyway? Not much heart in them. And if some sense made it through regardless, Orpheus coming up the subway stairs, Spring Street again, raining again, still seeing Eurydice fixed in imagination, unchanging and eternal, always at the edge of ending endlessly. Of course, you have to change the names. Temptation to escape into ornament, archive, embroidery, the brocade of sky or palladium. Places spread out, a cloak or a bedsheet, like gray wool a bit moth-eaten, crumbling into white. Where did they come from and where did they go? The simple turn off the path this time, hillside to mountainside, gray clouds pleated far above blue, but still the simple urge to lie down pillowed on stone, wait for nightfall stars. Right now recedes to now left over. In this moment, decades, half a conversation under machines and children and wind in the leaves. Bicycle, dog, cicada, no pattern, black, red, black, perfect posture, no scent, no smoke, cool enough in the shade. Table, green, silver graffiti, aluminum. Past unraveled through text. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Past unraveled though text remains. Read, reread, uncertain how the one who wrote managed now. Unclear how the clarity that seems was. The smoke from too many bonfires of books between us. What's past is somewhere I lost track, blacked out, and anesthesia, cold slippage. Light fading and rain again. Light rain asking if I will fade into weather. Well, we all will. Is this what this is when you can say the light has faded completely? Rain continues. Looked at in the absence of the future, there is only history, and all the names worn from gravestones by weather, or perhaps that's just a particularly regular slab of stone. Quarried, never used, spotted by lichen, etched by rain. Looked at in the absence of the future, can memory be present, memory turning the line rewritten, to undo these messengers who see everything, who remember nothing, who speak in silence or rumored thunder never heard here, imagined maybe, and how to undo imagination or lost desire, no desire. Isn't lost twilight, gray, purple, damson, night, later, barely remembering what isn't remembered? We didn't write letters then. Lines getting shorter and shorter, everything touching. Past perfected, well, completed perhaps only by death, but still or only quiet, those years without society or solitude, looking out at imagined mountains, imagined wild, imagined paths, and just a brief glimpse really, going nowhere alone or always alone. Today, cloud banners and clear, keen light. Let's say a book of hours. This one, fog, just above the trees, beyond oak trees, past the cemetery weeded Saturday by the townspeople. A broken bundle of mirrors, Pound wrote, but a different mirror, and by the bridge, convex, diverging. Another tower, far from the sea. No waves breaking, no wings overhead or seabirds' cries, no sails to watch for, white, black, red. Whose voice? A confusion of voices, mirrored sound unsourced and unrecognized. There should be a set text, an order, I said. Left with the decay of, rattle of, indrawn breath over thick air, cold air, to reduce to ashes. Every communication disconnected, no numbers, random numbers, zeros and ones with equal probability. Was that it? I'd forgotten. Repeating myself again. Not the taste remembered, but the tasting. Some ground pepper, some coarse salt, dove in the tree by the door, laurel maybe, bay laurel, sweet bay, bay waves breaking below, not here. Because you want to look back from the end and see the whole thing. Sense completeness, pattern, order even in disorder, sorrow and joy unevenly distributed, causation clotted with regret, coincidence not to be ignored, not the same thing, or poetry, the right words stretched beyond. Can't say anymore, or exhausted by saying, again emptied out, there is no void. Vision and revision of creation and annihilation, is this too much language? Was that it? I've forgotten. The first time you read those words, they seemed extraordinary. Perhaps they are or were. And in time, the experience is every day, or they tell you it is, if clearly seen, flowers and trees and dust on the books, the bookshelves. The neighbor's mailbox across the road, old postman's shuffle as he makes his way up the street in the early afternoon rain. Any season clearly seen, and no message in the seeing. No messengers, the empty details at arm's length. Entropy when this book is full. Start again, continuing, repeat myself. Or not exactly, when really it's just this beside that, the same way this isn't this new life every moment. Not news, a clip, a loop, glitched apocalypse, empty structure, ritual, to move through, to live. No beginning again, always mislaying some capability or object, pen, keys, credit card, phone, despite the memory of each scrap of paper scattered on this one, a way of talking about death without using the word, as if feeling could be replaced with wanting to know for certain if something had been left out. Only the wind letting loose, repair and destruction, leaving all the rest in short phrases stretched across attention's sharp edges as fast clouds cataract the sky, the acid ocean exploding against its dark mathematics in every beauty or encrypted, inevitable, sublime, heart-clenched thought of numbers. That's a good place to stop. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Yeah, I love this. More long poems, please. Okay. I'm excited. I haven't seen this person in person for so long, and I'm really trying to hold it together, but I feel like I'm not. I was grinning at her like a real ding dong earlier. So I couldn't control my excitement. So next we have poet and scholar, Atonia J. Okopatek, who has had her writing nominated for multiple awards and has won 2 so far. The Indie Fab Book of the Year Award for Poetry and the 2017 Glenna Lushi Prize for African Poetry. Of her book, 100 Days, the scholar John Keane writes, the lyric beauty, intertextual depth, and metonymic power of Okopatek's poetry underscores the capacities of art and language to cast light into the darkest corners of our human experience and bridge the gulfs that lie between us. She is also the first person who was subjected to the Can't Let podcast live episode and was a great guest. As well, she is also the only person I know who has a shirt inspired by Jen Sood-Fong Lee that just says, what Jen said. So there's only one in the world, she has it. I also want to say she's the only person I trust to, and kind of want to currently read about, who is writing about the pandemic. So I am extremely, extremely glad that she chose to in Song and Dread. So come on up here. Don't make my mistakes. Go this way.
Yeah, that's a very sweet.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Hello everyone, and thank you for staying after the break. It's really an honor to be here. I moved out to Ontario in 2021 after living here for 3 decades on the land of the Squamish, the Tsleil-Waututh, and the Musqueam people. And I can truly say that it is on this land that I learned to think and be and write
And so even when I make my land acknowledgements in Kingston and say I'm on the land of the Anishinaabe, and I'm so tired, I can't remember. Anishinaabe, and who? Hey? Haudenosaunee people, yes. Even though I orientate myself there now, it is here that I learned to be who I was, so I'm grateful for this place. And I'm really grateful to have this book here, because I'm finally a member of Talon. What? I was telling Katrina, I think I did, that all the cool people get published in Talon. So like, it's like when the cool kids allow you to sit with them, right? That's how it feels. And this is also a really beautifully designed book, so Les for her design, and Beth Stewart for the art. Beth is sitting back there, right? It's very, very beautiful artwork. Cecily looked it over and helped me to edit it. Katrina polished it. So many people have championed this work. And so I'm very, very grateful. And half of them are in this room, and you're all beloved. So thank you. I'm going to read some poems today. They're called Pi Day poems. And they're called Pi Day poems because I started to write them on March the 14th, which is one of 3 favorite days in the year. The other 2 being Halloween and May the 4th, because May the 4th be with you, right? So March the 14th is Pi Day, and on Pi Day 2020, I decided, let's just start documenting stuff. And so these poems will not be new to you, because you will have, some of these will come back as memories. They're mostly documentations, recordings of what I heard in the news. And in those days, I got all my news from Google News. So there will be lots of references to British stuff. It's not that I'm British or anything, but that's just what I saw on the Google News. Song and dread. Sometimes there's song, and sometimes there's dread. Sometimes an awfulness thick as lava crawls up the wall. Sometimes there's gratitude, and other times not. Sometimes the dreariness punctuates and levitates. Sometimes there's glory in the wearer of the tunic. Sometimes a halo or a cloud. Sometimes there's music there. Pi Day 1, March 14th, 2020. Here we are, straddling the yet, because after this, we can't reclaim innocence, and after this, there won't be comfort in not knowing. Pi Day 13. Last night, weighted footsteps, weighted footnotes, dragged me through sleep. Footnotes as foundational, as creep, as notice board, as conversation dump, traditional, hefty, like this morning. The account of a black woman in Britain whose husband was told that she was not a priority, and she died. She died. She died from this thing. And now him still at home with his diabetes and her body like a footnote. Pi Day 14. Today, an impossibly bent over tree seeks my eye. Skeletal branches budding, this is the season. Deep yellow forsythia, this is the season. Blue-gray, white cherry blossoms, this is the season. In Kingston, spring is not even an idea yet. This is also the season of large pink magnolia petals like tongues against the sky. This is the season. There has been a before, and there will be an after, with or without us on this land. Pi Day 21. Navels begin to creep up towards the sternum. Most people won't notice because they're drawn to the numbers on the screen, because they're stupefied by the facts, because they have left the solid of their bodies and now they leave no footprints and cast no shadows either. Pi Day 22. 2 days ago, a train engineer in LA drove his train at full speed, intending to crash it into the USNS Mercy. You only get this chance once, he said. The whole world is watching, he said. I had to, he said. People don't know what's going on, he said. The engineer was charged with 1 count of train wrecking. Pi Day 24. Hero defined as singular, those whose bravery matters. Plural, those for whom everyday acts are perceived as courageous. Also plural, those who do the work we rather don't. Those for whom a $2 raise is sufficient hazard pay. Those without whom the city starves. Those without whom garbage is not picked up. Liquor stores shut tight. Transit will not run. Those for whom we beat pots in the evening. Those for whom we shout, play music, clap. Those who meekly obey at the grocery stores as they yell at us not to move to the next yellow line until we have been directed to do so. Those who allow us to stay home, stay safe, stay away from this thing against which not all employers can or will provide protection. Because we deserve to stay alive, and they deserve the hero worship, and we need heroes now more than ever. Archaic for hero, who are youthful, muscular, and wear capes. Pi Day 28, I like this one. Some thought that sports commentators might be out of work. Remember, there was nothing right anymore. The general trend from the United Nations is that the UK and US is still more deaths every day than the last, and Japan joined the death track chart, and now Italy, and now US has cut straight through Italy's curve and is on course for the highest death toll globally. Within 5 days, Australia is looking promising, UK parallel to Italy, Indian infections picking up speed after slow early pace. Number of cases in Spain surpasses the 150,000 mark. The commentators have found a new sport. Pi Day 29. This one is also taken from the headlines. Headline: UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, having led the anti-immigrant Brexit campaign, is being treated in a hospital system where 8 UK doctors who have died from coronavirus were all immigrants. Headline: UK coronavirus live. Boris Johnson continues to improve. Death toll rises in England, Scotland, and Wales. Headline: Downing Street says UK Prime Minister is in good spirits after 3rd night in intensive care. Headline: Doctor who warned Boris Johnson about PPE dies after contracting coronavirus. Quote from UK Prime Minister: more families, many more families are going to lose loved ones before their time. Pi Day 32. This was fun. A woman says, it would be a shame to stay at home and let the government tell you what to do. Not everyone drank the Kool-Aid. The man alongside her says, look at all the people, he says, here for a march against tyranny, he says, to show the world, he says, that we're not okay with unlawful lockdowns and quarantines, he says. Not everyone drank the Kool-Aid, he says again, on another lovely day in Vancouver. Pi Day 34. After this one, I'll just read one more, and then I'll say thank you. We're far enough inside this thing to remember when it was passed on through travel. We're also far enough in to recall days when it was clear that travelers were vectors. It wasn't that long ago before it became clear that local transmission was a thing, and then nursing homes, and then crowd restrictions, first 500, and then 50, and then clusters, and then daily updates by politicians and top doctors, and graphs that read exponentially, and figures passed out, local and international transmission, and then border shutdowns and interprovincial shutdowns, and finally lockdown. And so the authorities in Gwangju count as we do, local and international transmissions. And of the 111 Africans tested, 19 were imported cases, the report states. And having largely stamped out in-country transmission of the coronavirus, authorities are worried that one of the biggest risks of a second wave in the epidemic stems from infected people coming from abroad, the report further states. In the meantime, just to be safe, a video shared on local social media focuses on a notice taken from a McDonald's restaurant in Gwangju. We have been informed that from now on, Black people are not allowed to enter the restaurant. The restaurant has apologized, stating that the ban on Black people was not representative of our inclusive values. Immediately learning of an unauthorized communication to our guests at a restaurant in Gwangju, we immediately closed the restaurant and added that it had conducted diversity and inclusion training in the branch. This book is divided into 3 main sections. The Pi Days, which I started to write, and I was going to write 100 of them like I did for 100 days. And then I told myself, that's not original. And I also got tired. So after 74, I thought, oh, that's it, I'm not doing it anymore. So I stopped. But 50 of them made it into here, and I'm grateful for that. And Katrina believed me when I said we need to have the sources in there. And it was really hard to put the sources in the book and make it not look like a textbook, right? Or like an academic essay or something like that. And so there's this fun section called Breadcrumbs, where all the sources from these poems are just laid out, just laid out. No HTTP, no punctuation, no nothing. It's just fun. So it's not to be read, but that's where the credits are. And who reads the credits anyway? And then the second part is called, the third part is called Fine Prints. And these are poems that I wrote after writing 100 Days, and I was so tired. So I think that these are the poems that saved me, and I like them for that. So I'll read with the one that I actually really like. Well, I like them, but this one I actually really like. It's called But Today We Wake Up. Both of us barrel-chested. We look at each other and laugh and laugh and laugh. Funny that both of us have lost all evidence of youth, and we laugh until we ache. And then it becomes clear that our belly muscles, the ones that used to hurt from laughter, have now relaxed and opened. And now we have more space for grief. And now we know each other more as containments for so much more. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was incredible. Okay, we have one more poet. Okay, so way back in 2013, when my first book came out, I went on tour with this poet when she published Dog in the House, also with Talon. And I just want to say we've done karaoke together, and I think truly that is the only way to build literary community. So let's do more of that. We had an incredible tour. It was super fun. But, I mean, I'm sure you have your own memories, but yeah. That first karaoke night was quite spectacular. Oh, okay. Wanda John Hewen is here with her new collection, Spells, Wishes, and the Talking Dead. which brings her keen eye again to the brutal damage of colonialism, but also the unrelenting power of resistance and the strength in truth. As it says in her bio, Wanda has published poetry, children's books, graphic novels, and a middle grade reader with hopes of reaching others who are trying to make sense of the world around them, especially if they think they come from nowhere and don't belong either. And I really think she always does just that, and I have always felt great in her presence. Wanda, please come up here.
We love you, Wanda.
Thank you. I don't have a speech, you know, and this book is also about COVID. Just kidding. I just felt sort of like, oh, I don't have a speech. What am I going to do? So I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants all the time, which usually works. That's why I have like books published, I guess. I don't even know what I'm going to read. But this book came out of COVID, actually. Well, no, sorry, it didn't come out of COVID. It came out of leaving a job that I was not happy in. It was a job that was sort of, you know, dulling my spirit. And so I went to the doctor and I asked him, I said, you know, I need something for my depression. He's like, well, what are you depressed about? Well, I don't want to wake up. I just want to, you know, deal with the things I'm dealing with. And I said, oh, I also need something to sleep. He's like, well, why can't you sleep? Because I'm thinking about my job all the time. He's like, well, quit your job. So I did just that. And I went back to school and got my MFA at UBC and had Dina as a teacher in my comedy class, so that was fun. That was amazing. So I don't even know what I'm gonna read. I wanted to write this book because I felt like a fraud being a poet in not even my own language. So there's some Korean here. And I wanted to break the rules of syntax and grammar and all that. And so this is it. And I'm not even sure what I'm gonna read. Let me see. So this one is called There's No Awasasak Here, which means there's no children here. And it was written after the children were found, 215 children, and I was staying with my daughter at home. And I felt like a wave of grief because I was like, I'm here with my daughter. I get to be with my daughter. And I just thought about how many people couldn't be with their kids, and I was like, you know, so there was like some grief there. So it's called There's No Awasasak Here, which is there's no children here. Saskatoon berry juices run down silky smooth sugar grin, rounded, recognized, treasured, face dimpled in tang, smiles and grace. Tall grasses sway behind child's silhouette. Sun, steadfastness, devotion, and nimama. Tiny muddy hands streak on mama's expansive width that has held many luminescent spirits in her wombiverse, never knowing the future and not longing to know either, generous with love like it was the only truth, and it really was. Skinned knees and mosquito bites, lying in cool grasslands, looking up at creator sky, trusting it not to fall, the only constant. Trusting gravity, trusting nimama, to always catch you when you fell and pick you up. And that was your story. Chestnut hair in summer, sun parted down the middle, nimama's creation, 2 braids freshly picked sweetgrass, turning, twisting, complete. Absorbed, steadfast sun who will always be there like nimama. Who knew how to braid hair because her nimama braided hers, and that was her story, and her mother braided hers, and that was their story. Kisses upon satin Saskatoon soaked face,
Soft callous fingers slide and rest upon trusting back. Like rain on empty teepee, like rain on empty longhouse. Tan skin like sweet ripened chokecherry, nestled next to mother, nestled next to father, nestled next to grandmother. Nestled, staring up at open skies into the night, admiring the sagging clouds that would always be there, deciphering the nehiao shapes in the sky. Wapos si si pasquamustus askipawa ne mama ne papa. Nukum musum, untouched by treason, untouched by reason, to create new nehi away wind words. Poof, poof, poof. English. They cry for their nimama in English. They cry for their nimama in English. Mud staining the faces of the unborn, leaving a trail of smeared mud body groove drags. Even the eagles cried and flew higher, and they stayed high. And the spiritually stripped followed suit, and they stayed high too. There's no oasis out here. Pressed flowers between waxed paper, melted into colonial preserves of cell memory jam, hanging on by calcium-deficient fingernails and obligation. Trodden lost spirits, lifeless, oppressed, apparitions disappear like smoke. Poof, there's no children here. So that poem, I was doing a class at UBC, and I was trying to keep my daughter busy at the same time, so we did that wax paper with the flowers in between, and we ironed it, and she thought that was just the best, and I was like, oh my God. So that came out of that. I still have that piece. I really don't know what to read. I'm just going to read this. This was more like prose. It's called Get Messy in This Moment with COVID on the Horizon. So this is me and my daughter staying home. And I often wondered, should I be going to school because maybe the world's ending? I'm just going to go to school anyway. So this is that time when we're trying to stay home and stay sane with my daughter, who was at home for pretty much 2 years. This moment in time, I sit here answering my daughter's questions over and over and over as I trail behind her, cleaning sprinkles of flour and grains of salt all over the floor left from her trying to make a dumpling in the microwave out of the mixture she made, which resembles Play-Doh. She asked me to try a bite, and I do, because at this point, seeing her disappointed face isn't on my list of things to do or fix today. It tastes like Play-Doh, and I imagine her petting the 2 dogs and the 2 cats before she gets down to business and kneads a little dough ball the size of a small delicious plum. Only this isn't a delicious plum. This is a creation made by a daughter who is bored out of her mind, who is staying home with mom, 2 dogs, 2 cats, a gecko, and her older brother who stays in his room most of the time, even before COVID. I am trying to keep up with my schoolwork as we fall behind in hers, and still her smile as she makes herself a melted cheese sandwich in the microwave for the first time today, and just how proud she is as she hands me a small corner of it, and I bite knowing her hands probably taste like salt from the Play-Doh plum dumpling she tried to make a little earlier. I am in the same room as she does all this, and I offer spare words of advice I toss over my shoulder, and little watchful looks from my screen to her and her unicorn shirt. Like only 30 seconds, not too much salt, wash your hands, try not to get the flour on the floor, watch out, it's hot, and I declare I'll do the honors and cut the crusts off. Many times throughout her 8 years on this suffering Mother Earth, I have stood by the microwave watching the plate spin as her cheese melted. For some odd reason, my beautiful child likes to eat melted cheese, we call it. And it's not real melted cheese if it doesn't have 2 slices of fresh, soft white bread and processed cheese. Melted cheese is my usual thing, but today she looks at me typing like my life depends on it, and I really think it does. I think she gets a moment of clarity and compassion for another person as she asks me, "Mommy, tell me how you make melted cheese, I can do it." And still a barrage of questions assault me. Can I use 2 cheeses? Can I cut off the crust if I use a butter knife? Can I use a scissors? How about a scissors? How long do I put it in for? Did you make melted cheese when you were small? I shake my head and I do not tell her we didn't have a microwave. And I didn't tell her my mom left when I was 5. That's another story for another time that doesn't have any melted cheese in it, but it does talk of melted lives and hearts. I let her make Play-Doh plum dumplings because who am I to stop her from keeping her mind busy as I see the wheels spinning in her perfect head as she sees her little dumplings spinning round and round in the microwave, looking more like the crust left over in a used bannock bowl left overnight. She's 8. She's missing out on very important relationships, very important lessons in school about the art of being with other human beings and learning to navigate the world around her. How can I, a survivor of trauma, teach this little one that this world is not a place to fear when COVID just kicked the world in the royal pain in the ass with a fuck you boot? How many parents besides me feel inadequate and are worried we will mess up our children? We all as a universe without any soul connectivity bumbled our way through 2020, 2021, and 2022, hoping and probably no longer praying for COVID to be manageable. Dead. Anything of the past, like children's childhood of 2020, 2021, and 2022. Hopefully all of our self-isolating will keep us safe, and hand washing isn't as important if we stay home and pretend the world doesn't exist. I say to myself and to no one in particular, except on this fresh page, I don't know if I can do it. Whatever else choice do we have as my daughter grows up, isolating because she must, and me isolating because I want to. We're like vampires in the night on our evening strolls to take our dogs to the park, avoiding people like the plague. So that one, I'm gonna find a really short one. I don't have any happy ones in here, sorry. Let's see. Okay, there's another COVID one. Just kidding. Isolation with an 8-year-old. It was an interesting year. 2 years. Mom! Mom! Mom, come play with me. You have to play with me. You're my mom. Mom. Mom! Why do you always do homework? What about me? Mom, the cat scratched me. Mom, where's the cat? Mom, I'm hungry, I'm dying. Really? Hungry. Mom, can I have juice? Mom, my favorite time of day is lying in bed with you. Mom, let's tell jokes. Knock, knock. Who's there? Who's there? Who's there? Frog. Frog who? Don't open the door. You're scared of frogs. Go. I think I would open the door to a frog and even kiss it if isolation went away. So that's isolation.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, you left on a knock-knock joke about us. What a perfect moment. Thank you so much to everyone for being here. Thank you to all these readers. You can see their beautiful books here. The wonderful Paperhound bookshop is here. So if you haven't already purchased a book, please do. And I'm sure these writers would love to write you a really sassy message in their book, or just like a nice normal one. They can do whatever they want. I want to thank Kevin and everyone from Talon for inviting me here. And again, like, I know I act like a real gooba, But I genuinely do always feel so honored and grateful to be invited to participate in anything Talon related. And so everyone